to save a few mannequins for saving a few mannequins for yourself?
I still haven't figured out who
I
that was
didn't
that asked
mean
me
it that
if I
way.
knew where they could get a mannequin.
Didn't mean it that way.
You're gonna be seeing them in your nightmares, aren't you?
Yeah, they're talking to me today.
Actually, I got it on TV. Please stand. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for attending the city's business meeting. The mayor's report tonight, I'm going to divide into two parts. The first part will be the two proclamations that the city has for two deserving people, and then we'll go straight through the program until we get to old business, and then I'll do the rest of my report. Let's go ahead and do the first proclamation, which is for Michael Angel. Mike, would you step forward? You may think that this is deja vu, but last time we read it, and I read it, it was all great. Mike said I would have been there, but nobody said anything. So I did. I apologize. I missed that one completely. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'm going to just say that this proclamation for Mike has to mainly do with his professional achievements, and that he has been selected, I think, 2 years ago at number 2 in the state, and this year he was a top photographer in the state of Missouri, as voted by Missouri Life magazine. Is that correct?
Yep.
So it wasn't me, it was actually all those folks. So Mike, thank you. I want you to have this.
Yes, sir.
And keep it, and maybe you'll get another one. All right. Thank you. Okay, now this brings another one that we have, which is very well deserved as well. And this is for Mayor Doris Binkholder, the late Mayor Doris Binkholder. Would the Binkholders like to come forward, and some get on one side, or however many are going to come up here, and we'll get pictures, and some can get on one side, some on the other side, and I will read this one. Okay, I need all the people on my side I can get. All right, I'm going to read this, and I appreciate y'all coming. It says, a mayoral proclamation, Mayor Doris Binkholder Appreciation Day in Hermann, Missouri. Whereas Doris loved her family, her city, and her family history. And whereas Doris was the first woman alderperson and the first woman mayor to serve the city of Hermann. And whereas during her time as mayor, she was instrumental in helping secure funding for the new Hermann Bridge and renovations to the Amtrak station, served on the MyFest Council, and was Park Board Secretary. And whereas the Mayor and the Board of Aldermen of the City of Hermann, Missouri, desire to express our appreciation for her exemplary term in public service. And be it further proclaimed that the original of this proclamation is presented to the family of Mayor Binkholder in recognition of the esteem in which she is held. Now therefore I, Dr. Robert C. Kerber, Mayor of Hermann, Missouri, do hereby proclaim January 27th, 2020 as Mayor Doris Binkholder Appreciation Day throughout our city, and urge all citizens of Hermann to remember her as the finest example of a loyal and trustworthy Hermann public official. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the official seal of the city of Hermann, Missouri to be affixed this 27th day of January 2020. There, Rick, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
I'll give that, I guess, to you, and thank you very much. Thank you to all the Binkholders to come up here. Thank you. And Rick, I will give you that, and you can take that and enjoy it.
Thank you so much. It's quite an honor.
Okay.
Keep you very happy.
Speak? Okay.
We're good.
Good. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, Mike and all the bank holders, we appreciate you coming tonight. And Mike, I'm sorry for the confusion, but we made it past that, and you have your proclamation. We're happy about
I
that.
stayed confused.
Oh, yeah, we did.
It's okay.
Okay, next we're going to move to the city administrator's report.
I'll make it brief. I continue working on all the grants we have out there floating around. And once again, I want to thank the street and park employees that once again worked around the clock to clear the snow and the ice from our city streets. They did. They worked around the clock and worked in shifts, and I think they did a great job. I think we have some more snow coming, so you see them out there, thank them. That's my report.
Okay, thank you. And I echo that, and I'm sure all the aldermen do. They were working at 3 in the afternoon. I could hear the plows go by, and that was well before anything actually decided to come out of the sky. So by the time it started to, it was kind of an non-event because they were ready for it, and that's the best way to do it. Okay, before we start on the first ordinance, let me lay the groundwork rules again. The ordinances, the first ordinance has to do with guest houses, bed and breakfast. There's the public speaking on this is over. We had 4 or 5 different meetings where we had 50 or so people spent 4 hours on it. I think everything was said at least 2 or 3 times. Right now, it's for the aldermen. It's going to be into their hands, and we're going to vote on it. So any discussion will be for them. And I would say that I have some information that I can add later when we get ready to vote on it. I do later want to talk about special interest groups and the negative effect that they can have on a meeting if it's not held properly. And anyway, right now, Dave, do you want to start on that and read that ordinance?
All right. Bill number 2019-53, an ordinance to amend the Hermann Municipal Code to provide that bed and breakfast inns, guest houses, vacation rentals or homes, and any other non-owner occupied lodging establishments, bed and breakfast inns and guest houses, shall be allowed in the R2 and R3 zoning districts by conditional use permit only, and to establish regulations for all new and existing bed and breakfast inns and guest houses in all zoning districts.
Okay, let me say that this is really a very simple ordinance. We've worked on it for a year. It's had input from everybody practically in the city, guest house owners, neighbors, insurance agents, all cross section of people. Basically boils down to this. There are safety regulations that are required of every lodging establishment, and this was at the recommendation of the guest house owners. Every lodging establishment will have safety regulations and an inspection every year, just the same as the state requires, annual. And that's the first thing. The safety issues is the first thing. The second thing is, with a conditional use permit, a person wanting to sell their property to somebody wanting to build or operate a guest house in a residential neighborhood, R2 or R3, will have to at least have a conditional use hearing at planning and zoning, which tells the nearby residents something is going on. That's not the case now. They can wake up and there's people moving furniture in next door, and they didn't even know about it. So those are the 2 things: safety regulations and the ability of the neighborhood to know what's going to happen. We don't turn these down very often, and they automatically renew with an appearance before the Board of Aldermen. There isn't any application form. We're not charging anything for the inspections. It's very, very simple. So that's what we have. Now, do any of the aldermen want to say anything, or do we want to go ahead to move to the vote?
You said we very rarely turn them down. In my memory, we have never turned one down.
That's pretty rare. We have never turned one down. I have not checked. I have checked, and I can't find where we ever turned one down, nor have we ever not reapproved one. So you're right. Anybody else? Okay, do we have a motion to vote on this?
Did you want to say something?
Brian had it.
Well, I just
Well-
wanted to correct that there has been some that have been denied at the planning and zoning level that pulled their permit and didn't take it to the Board of Aldermen.
And, yeah, but it wasn't denied because when I checked into those things had problems and they were rectified, and then the conditional use permit was approved. So nobody was put out of business because of the conditional use permit. Okay, is there anybody, do I have a motion made to vote on this?
I make a motion to declare that bill number 2019-53 be declared first read.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion made and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
The motion is carried. Okay, Dave, do you want to read the next one?
Okay. On for second reading is bill number 2019-55, an ordinance authorizing a 2% increase to the city's tourism tax pursuant to RISMO section 67.1360, and for submission of the issue as to whether said increase shall become effective to the voters of the city of Hermann, Missouri, at the general election scheduled to be held in the city on Tuesday, April 7, 2020.
Okay, I know we have an alderman that wants to say something, so Dave, do you want to say something?
Yes, I do. At our last meeting, a very inaccurate and untrue statement was made. Since we were already having enough conflict in that meeting, I did not immediately move to correct it. That was a mistake that I apologize for, and I'm going to correct right now. When Alderman Shermer first broached the idea to me of shifting some or all of the tourism director's salary to the tourism fund, we had several discussions about it before it was ever brought in to a BOA meeting. We were looking for ways to do it without hurting that fund while still helping the general fund. We looked at several options, none of which were involved the tourism or lodging tax. It wasn't until the Board of Aldermen was approached by the Chamber of Commerce about funding problems with the Welcome Center, and I'd like to repeat that. They approached us. That it occurred to me that a raise in the tax could solve both problems. I approached the other aldermen with it. It was the Welcome Center that started this ball rolling and not the tourism director's salary. Here in a meeting and out on the street, I've heard being said by some members of a group that the public can start paying for some of this. Well, I got news for you. They already are. From the time of the first MyFest, the citizens of Hermann have been paying to support tourism. From added police coverage, city employees working on weekends, opening and closing streets, wear and tear on our streets, extra load on all of our utilities and infrastructure. These and many other things our citizens have been paying for. These are not, however, negatives. Tourism brings in a lot of money to help pay for these things, and that's a good thing. It's why we like tourism. But what they are gray areas of funding, of things that are used by citizens and tourists alike. However, when it comes down to the director's salary and the Welcome Center, there is no gray area there. These are 100% tourism. The lodging tax is supposed to be paid by tourists. As I understand it, there are some out there who have been paying this instead of collecting it from their customers. That completely negates the whole point of the tax to begin with. The lodging tax is a pass-through tax to be paid by the lodgers, not the businesses. If you are intentionally paying this tax out of your own pocket and then claiming to be the victim of higher taxes, I'm sorry, but that dog ain't gonna hunt. Especially with some among you having the arrogance to claim our citizens aren't paying their fair share. Be sure to share that opinion with all the voters, by the way. I'm sure it'll help them make up their mind when this goes to the polls. Since September, we were approached by the Chamber of Commerce. We have repeatedly asked for numbers of what it would cost to help run this center. I've seen numbers from $30,000 all the way up to $66,000, although I really doubt the accuracy of these numbers since they keep changing. Now I'm told we shouldn't rush this because they're not sure what they want to do. What I'm sure of is the Welcome Center that our tourism industry relies on is now closed 2 days a week. How long is this gonna work? How long before it's 3 days a week? Or worst case, sorry, we just can't afford to do it anymore. There is only one avenue of funding for this. Without a raise, this would decimate the tourism budget. The budget whose only purpose is to bring tourists to town and keep them coming back. The opposition to this by the very people who benefit from it the most is absolutely unbelievable to me. And with that, I will move to approve this.
Before you do that, I would like to say on this that tonight is a vote to put this on the ballot, and strictly to put it on the ballot or not put it on the ballot. It has nothing to do with the endorsement of the alderman, that it's a good idea or not. Those things will be coming out in the next 2 months as facts come out about how it works and so forth. So any discussion, there isn't any discussion on whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. So there isn't gonna be any talk. We're gonna get to the vote, unless there's somebody out in the audience that wants to come forward and say they're against letting the people vote on this. I think personally, anytime you let the people vote on something, it's a good thing. And at the end of the day, that's what, that would be nice if we did that on other things, but we can't. But we can on this, and this is to put this on the ballot, April 7th, is it, Trish? April 7th or not. And this is the second reading on this, and we've read it.
Might I just mention that the only thing we put in, some people wanted the date pushed back. I think you had some people come to you. So the data collection, according to the ordinance, be pushed back to January 1st, 2021.
Thank you.
And that gives time for planning to decide how they're gonna use this if it passes.
Right.
Okay.
And we can plan then knowing that it either passed or it didn't pass.
Correct.
Right now, we have no idea. It's kind of hard to plan if you don't know what your revenue's going to be. So I have a motion on this side to vote on this. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion is carried, and that will be placed on the ballot. Thank you very much. All right, second reading on Bill 2020-01.
Bill number 2020-01 will be an ordinance to approve legal services agreements between the City of Hermann, Missouri and Vic Electrical Lead and Richardson, PC for city attorney and assistant city attorney services, and to amend Hermann Municipal Code Section 110.160.
Move to approve.
We have motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion is carried. Next.
Next is bill number 2020-02, an ordinance to provide that the City of Hermann, Missouri will participate in the 2020 Show Me Green Sales Tax Holiday.
Okay, that is something we do every year. We participate. Do I have a motion to approve this?
I move to declare bill number 2020-02 approved.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion made here and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion is carried. Is there a reason to read that twice? Is that? Okay. All right, very good. Let's see. Let's move to the next one. Do we have another? No. We're in old business now, and I said I wanted to reserve this spot for a short narrative report. It's not like the last one. I'm not declaring that I'm going to run. No, it's a little too late for that. But we have had 5 meetings now where we have had special interest groups present trying to influence the board. To my knowledge, we've never had this type of interference before. We have had multiple emails and other activities sent to our aldermen. We have had people going online with grossly inaccurate statements, wanting people to write in or take a poll or a survey of some sort, which would be very useless because the information was wrong that they gave out. This is something I'm just warning apparently this is something that the alderman and the next mayor may have to deal with on a more, on a basis that presents itself more often than it does now. This does not help or sway your position to get the alderman to vote for you. You'd be much better to come here and stand up and logically and calmly present your side, or hand out something and present your side, your ideas. We're very open to those. We took a lot of opportunity to make changes in both these bills, but that were presented fairly and accurately and calmly, and we're not against that. But we had about 50 people speak. We had 11 people that were bed and breakfast and guest house owners out of 131, but they took 4 hours, and there were only about, like I said, about 11 people that actually spoke, different people. Some of them spoke 3 and 4 times at the various meetings, some more. And I think that while we gave everybody ample opportunity to speak, we went out of our way to give everybody a chance to come up again and again and say, sometimes they said the same things, but we listened to it. And it's not very helpful. And I think if you'll review what took place on the YouTube videos, you'll see that it does not present the city in a very good light, and it doesn't help us to get our job done here. This is a city business meeting. This is not the corner stand up and speak group. I hope that we can see that there's a better way to do this, and it's to come forward with logic and calm demeanor and present your ideas. That's my report. Now, I wanted the AT&T cell tower update. I think we mentioned this last time. They are planning to begin construction in April. So by the time we have MyFest, I don't think it's going to take long to put this together. It comes in sections. It's put together that way. So hopefully we can maybe have it by MyFest. The Calabite pull attachment, I believe we have sent an invoice to them for payment. I don't think we've gotten it yet. And I didn't expect to have it this quick. But the franchise fees, where do we stand on that, Dave?
So to remind everybody of where we've come from on this, back in April, we passed the ordinance to go ahead and give Calabite the franchise for this. There was negotiations at that time before you passed the ordinance. Calabite said, go ahead and charge a fee, a gross receipts fee of 5%. We'll pay whatever you want to charge. And we amended the ordinance to specifically provide the 5% fee. Calabite sent a letter that Trish has in her file that says they accept the ordinance as is, and we weren't getting the fee and I think in November, Calabite said, well, it needs to be in the ordinance that we need to pay the fee, and so we sent another copy of the ordinance to Calabite and said, there it is. And then they referred me to their attorney. And so I called and left a voicemail for that attorney this morning around 9 o'clock, and I didn't get a call back yet. So
I think, go ahead, I'm sorry.
no, well, that's about it.
I think that what's happening is they are not convinced that, and they're also looking for the state legislature to make a change. There's a bill up there for cable, which I'm not sure is the same thing, but we put a clause in our agreement that said if for any reason at any time the franchise fee is found to be uncollectible, illegal, or in any other way inappropriate, that we will, that Calabite will then substitute another fee of equal amount for some other reason, but it'll be 5%. So basically, we are about to, if they're not going to do this one, we will change the name of it and we'll charge them something else. We're going to get our money. And that's basically what it boils down to. They're not trying to not pay. They're just they don't want to collect it from people if there's any possibility that it might be illegal. I don't think there is. We had other attorneys look at it, but Dave had some help, and they think we're okay, so we just have to convince them we're okay, and we should get our money. Okay, transferring ownership of KVA 69 poles and maintenance to Central Electric. Where do we stand on that one?
Central Electric's attorney cited some law that she thinks she found that says that before you can sell or transfer all or a portion of any electric system, you have to go to a vote of the citizens. I don't necessarily agree with that, and so I'm working with her right now. I gotta find some law to go back to her with and say, no, I don't think you need to do this, and convince them that it's not that difficult.
Okay, so that's in process. Brubaker and Associates is the group that did our initial study that established reserves for our electric company. They did an evaluation and came up with the reserves approximately 2012 or so, and we still use those. So we are thinking that they may not be accurate, and we should have Brubaker reevaluate those. The fee would be $2,000. I was thinking of having the engineer come to the next meeting and describe what he proposes to do. We would get a new updated numbers of reserves, higher or lower. I wouldn't think it would be the same, but it could be the same. And that gives us a better idea. It's a third party, unbiased. There's nobody has any axe to grind. So we just would like to give the electric department more accurate and up-to-date and chronologically current information to work on. So I will have a recommendation, or at least something for you to look at the next meeting. And is there any other old business?
Yeah, one. I sent you all an email. I'm the Board of Alderman liaison for the Tourism Commission. We're having a slight problem with terms in the Tourism Commission. Not with actual full terms, it's just that occasionally people move, have to quit for some reason, and someone is appointed to fill out a term. Well, apparently our ordinance and the state statutes limit it to 2 terms, 6 years. The problem is when somebody comes into the middle of a term, they don't get those 6 years. Because if you're appointed again to another term, your time is going to run out before your term does. When you have good people, you hate to see them leave like that. And I asked for a legal opinion, is there any way someone who has not served a full term can then go on and serve those 2 terms or not?
Well, I'll give you my 2 cents, then we can listen to Trish and Dave. Okay. It seems that we have an individual going off, I believe, on the 20th of March. He'd like to stay for another 3 years. I think what we've done in the past is we've taken that person and waited till the next term came off and put him on the next term, which gave him 3 more years, effective 3/20/2021. So we always had them rotating, and that seems to have worked well, and it's an option. Now, as far as with the legality of it, I think Dave's looked at it. Dave, do you want to explain it?
Yeah, and there's an angle to this that I don't think I addressed in that email, and maybe it's because I didn't understand it properly. If you have, if Tricia's on the commission and she serves a 3-year term and then she leaves in year number 2 of her second term and I take her place, then I serve year 2 and year 3 of Tricia's term, and I thought the question was, can I then serve my 2 3-year terms? So
That's the question.
so it'd be a total of 8 years.
Yes.
I would say no to that. I think the legislature's intent is clear that it's 6 years max. I think that instead of looking at it as me coming in and fulfilling years 2 and 3 of Tricia's term, you could just say that it's year 1 of my term, and I can start serving 6 years. Does that make sense?
What's
Yeah.
gonna happen though is you're gonna get people's
These are
staggered.
supposed to be staggered, they're not supposed to all change
Yeah,
at the same time.
eventually, but we keep doing that, you could end up with most of the people going off in the same year instead of the staggers that were intended.
Yeah.
And this particular commission is very important that they have some continuity, that we are able to keep people. So some of them are here on an ongoing basis rather than if we had to change 5, let's say, in 1 year. Trish, do you have anything else you want to say?
No, it doesn't really affect me other than just to say that we've always done it the same way since I've been here, and I believe my predecessor handled it the same way. So we always just let people, if they came in an unfulfilled term, that was counted kind of as their first term, and then they got another 3 years. If they can go off the board for a year, and if they're really well liked and the board wants to reappoint them, they can do that. They just can't serve 2 full terms back to back according to state law and city ordinance.
And so, in other words, they can't have 2 years and then 2 full terms.
Yeah, they don't have to be off for a full 3 years. It could just be 1 year. You know, for the next rotation, the next person to go off.
But-
And if the board really wants to reappoint them,
After they've served 6 years, they can be
they
off a
can be
year
off
and
1
then.
year and then come right back. Absolutely.
Okay, I just, it's unclear to me. Jim had read a part of the ordinance in there that he said, Puck said something a little different.
Yeah, it's City Code, Section 160.100, about the Tourism Commission, how it was established. It says in there to fill a vacancy only for the unexpired term. And Dave kind of alluded to it, so my reading into that means if Tricia was on the board, she left, Dave could fill her unexpired term. Then, if he did a good job and wanted to continue, then he would be eligible for the 2 3-year terms. Yes, it's gonna go over the 6 years by the unexpired term, but I think what it says in the ordinance is to fill a vacancy only for the unexpired term.
And I think, Dave, you think that's probably not in keeping.
But a term is 3 years, not 6 years.
Well, 2 3-year terms.
Yeah, but a term is only 3 years. So if you read that, it means 3 years. They can serve 2 terms, but a term is 3 years, not 6.
Well, I think our problem is we're not only working with our ordinance, we're working with the state ordinances.
But they're the same.
Yeah, okay.
But we can't deviate, I don't believe.
Well, I don't necessarily want to, you have good people. You hate to lose them even for a year. And I just was wondering how this would work out. And if we can't do it, we simply cannot do it. But I promised the people I would ask to see if there was a way. And if there isn't, there isn't.
I think what Jim just read negates my idea from 5 minutes ago and goes back to what Tricia was saying. Each appointment to fill a vacancy is for the unexpired term. So what I said about, well, whenever you appoint somebody to fill a vacancy, just have that be year 1 of their first 3-year term. This says you can't do that. It has to, you have to start with year 2 of the unexpired term. So yeah, then I still say that the spirit of this is that the legislature didn't want people serving more than 6 consecutive years.
I think what it says is the way we've been doing it is the correct way.
That's fine.
Right.
I did what I told them I would do, so.
Okay. Mary, is there anything else to talk about here? I think the decision, we understand what we can do, what we can't do.
There's one other factor, is that each person...
Come forward, please.
The other factor in the code, which I'm sure you saw as you were looking at it, is that each person is appointed to represent a certain business environment. So that may preclude them waiting 1 year and then coming back, because some have to be general business, some have to be lodging, some have to be tourism. So it might not work.
It seems like both things need to be in place, and I don't know that the commission.
Thank you.
You will.
Thank you.
Just want you to have all the facts.
Well, I seen you come in, I thought this is good. Mary will know if I screw something up, so.
Well, I've given you
Anyway,
60 times.
I think that's important, and I don't know where we stand. I think we're right, but we might need to look and see if we have.
No, she's right, and we are currently functioning that way.
That's what I was.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're okay with it. Thank you, Mary.
You're welcome.
Is there any other old business? Okay, what about new business? Do we have any new business? No? Okay, do we have citizens' comments? We have,
I had the one part from Mary, but Marlon's waving. his hand.
Mr. Stimmy gave one when he walked in. If you want
okay,
to-
can we have that one?
You precluded mine by.
Okay, well, it's okay.
About the two ordinances at hand.
Okay. You're right, okay. Well, that's been taken care of, and, so, we have no other new business. Let's go down to motions. Minutes, what will we do with those?
Move to approve.
Second.
Have a motion made and seconded, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion is carried. Invoices for payment.
Motion to pay the bill?
Second.
Motion's
No,
made and seconded
I'll second.
by Mr. Shermer to pay the bills. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Bills are paid. Caterers permit, Adam Pukta Winery, Jazz Concert, 112 East 4th Street, Showboat Theater, February 22nd, 2020.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion to approve and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried. Hire Mallory Levy as pool manager and Ted Shannon as assistant manager. Do we have any discussion of that? I believe that Mallory was the pool manager last year.
Yes, she was, yes.
And got very good marks, I think.
Yes.
From the inspectors. Is there any discussion or?
Move to approve. Second.
A motion's made and seconded on this side. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion is carried. Appoint Patrick Dell to the Arts Council. Patrick is a school
Music
teacher.
choir director. I move to approve Patrick Dell.
Now second.
Have a motion made and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried. Appoint Thomas Griesedick to the Tree Commission.
I move to approve.
Now second.
Motion's made and Bruce seconded it. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Welcome aboard, Thomas. Special event application, Hermann Youth League opening day event, ball fields, and closure of Mozart Street around the ball field, May 2nd, 2020.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion made and seconded by Alderman Cox. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's carried. The special event application, Alpine Shop, Tour of Hermann, Gravel Challenge, Cycling Race, Staging, and Finish Line, Upper City Park, Rotunda, and J.C. Pavilion, May 1st through 3rd, 2020.
I move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion made and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's carried. The special event application, Go St. Louis, KT 82 Trail Relay Finish Line activities. Upper City Park, Rotunda, and J.C. Pavilion, September 12th, 2020.
Move to approve.
Second.
A motion's made and seconded on this side. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's carried. Special event application, Missouri Stream Team, Watershed Coalition, Paddle Missouri 2020, Canoe Kayak Storage and Check-In, Riverfront Park, September 22 and 23, 2020.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion's made and Jim seconded it. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's carried. The closed session will not be held tonight. We will reschedule that when we have information that is necessary to hold that. So that brings us to a conclusion. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Before we do that, can we do one thing?
Absolutely.
And this is my bad, I should have noticed this with the draft of the agenda. But if you look at bill number 2019-53, if you look at the actual ordinance that's in the packets and look at the heading, the last 2 or 3 lines, it says, and to establish regulations for all new and existing lodging establishments in all zoning districts. That's, lodging establishments was the change that we made after you guys agreed to go ahead and include bed and breakfast homes and hotels and so forth. If you look at the heading that is on the agenda, it's the old heading, where it says, establish regulations for new and existing bed and breakfast inns and guest houses.
Okay, so
Okay.
we need to make a change then.
Well, what I would propose is just let me read the heading from actual bill number 2019-53.
Sure.
And motion second pass. Gonna do
We
that?
vote?
Thanks for taking the blame, but that is probably my fault.
Okay, please read it again.
Bill number 2019-53 would be an ordinance to amend the Hermann Municipal Code to provide that bed and breakfast inns, guest houses, vacation rentals or homes, and any other non-owner occupied lodging establishments, bed and breakfast inns and guest houses, shall be allowed in the R2 and R3 zoning districts by conditional use permit only, and to establish regulations for all new and existing lodging establishments in all zoning districts.
Okay, can I have a motion?
I declare that bill number 2019-53 be second read.
Okay, and a
Or
second?
first read.
First read, and a
Second.
second. We have a motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Motion's carried. Thank you, Dave. That's really good. We don't want to make any mistakes. Now, do you want to go home or should we have more fun?
Move to adjourn.
I know. Motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We're adjourned. Thank you very much.
Yes. Okay. Let's see, in recess.
Hey. No, that's my pleasure. Yeah, very good. I'm glad y'all were here. Well, you gotta take care of them.
She's smiling right now.
Well, remember what Hermann said, just next Christmas? He said, pick up the phone and call home. He said, I sure wish I could use it. So remember, you take care of mom and think about it. Okay?
Sorry, I meant to go there and it went crazy.